Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this episode, I will show you how to use several functions from the IfError, IsError, divide, value, and trims function. Let's start from the table. Several tables, we don't need to use it. So let's change it a little bit from the raw data. Okay, let's go to choose the columns. Several columns such as ID, title, release date, runtime, genre, and we don't need it. Then close and apply. More simple and beautiful. The first part is for the IsError. Sometimes if we want to divide to get the ratio between nominations and Oscar wins, we just simply use the nominations divided by the Oscar wins. Let's do it. We call it a win ratio. Then Oscar should be nominations. Okay, divided by Oscar win. That looks no problem. But we find the data we don't want to see. That is, if the Oscar wins are 0, then we find the NaN and infinitive. And that because Oscar wins and is the 0, so the calculation is meaningless. So in this kind of scenario, we have to use, for example, here, if that is 0, that's NAV is not 0, okay, then infinity, okay, that'd be with infinity. So in this kind of scenario, we have to use the IsError or IfError to resculate. Okay, clear the filters. Okay, let's choose the 0. Okay, the first methodology is to use the, let's copy that. Okay, win 1. In this kind of scenario, our first clue is if this is error, how can we cope with that? That is simple. If is error, then if is error, then because if is error function is finished here, so we need to put a bracket. If is error, then we need the blank. Okay, no problem. Otherwise, we still return the nominations divided by the Oscar wins. Then we find that we just returned with the blank. That's the result we really want. We can do a little bit more by another way. Okay. This is first one is error. Okay. We also can do it relatively simple. Okay. Then use the IfError function. IfError. Okay. Then we still put here the blank. Then with the bracket. This means that if this part, from the divide by nominations divided by movies, Oscar wins, if this part is error, so then we return the blank. Otherwise, we'll return nominations by movies. Okay, that's also no problem. The simplest way to do this calculation is use the divide function. Okay, let's try the win ratio. Okay, divide. Okay, here still use the nomination. Okay, divide here, we need to put the comma. Please remember that we need the comma, then put the Oscar wins. Okay, then we find out still return the blank. Okay, if we put the good numbers, for example, here if the not 0, but put the normal figures, how is the result? Okay, then we find that the full columns return the same result. That's the result we really want. That means the difference is that IsError, IfError, and divide can return the result we really want. And if the divided by, if the Oscar wins, it's just 0. Okay, that's the best way for us to cope with that. If we just want to the simple calculation, we can use the divide. And in more complex the scenario, we can use the IfError and IsError. Okay, we can learn more further. Okay, let's put another example for the divide function. Divide function is relatively simple. When we got the box office and the budget, then we want to calculate the profit margin. How can we do that? Profit margin. Profit margin is very simple. It's just the box office minus with the budget. Then we put the bracket on it. Then divided by the budget. Okay. Then what is the result? If the budget has not been put into this table, and if we already got the real revenue for the movies, then we find that infinitive is displaced. That is the result we don't want. So here we should use the divide function. Okay, divide the function. Then here, divide. Okay, we need to remove the bracket first bracket. Okay, we simply use the box office minus with the budget, then with the comma. Then here, okay, then we find out it's correct now. Then if the budget is on the real number, what is the result? And the box office is also on the real number, budget on the real number. Okay, we found out that's no problem. Profit margin is no problem. Okay, we still can do more by those functions we learned. Okay, the next part is to learn the value function. Okay, value function is sometimes very useful. Okay, let's look at the certificate. Here we find that the data in this column is always on the text format. So, but sometimes we have to use that as another format. For example, the whole number format or decimal number format. But generally, we need the whole number format. So we need to use a function called value to convert by another format. Okay, let's do it. Okay, certificate value. Certificate. Okay, value. Here is quite simple. The value is just need one parameter. Then we need to put the text. Text should be certificate. Okay. However, we find the error. That's the reason is because in this column there is several kinds of the data, and the value can only convert the numbers with the text format to the number of the numeric format. But for this part, we need another way to cope with it. We already found out this here is the error. Then we need to simply put the if error. Okay, if error. Okay, we simply suppose that if error, then we put 1000. Okay, that means if the data in this column that's just simply PG, then that will be converted as the 1000. If that is the 15, but with the here is the 15 is the text format 15, then here will be converted as 15 of the numbers, okay, with numbers, numeric format. The 15 text format, here 15 is the numeric format. And others, if that is a number plus the letters, that will be converted as the 0. Okay, that's the application of the value function plus the IfError. Okay, that's still quite interesting. Okay, here let's do a little bit further to learn how the IfError is working. Okay, IfError, let's look at the director number. If we want to just get the first name of the directors, how can we get that? We already learned how to do the data preparation, and we just simply use the left function to pick up the data from the left side. And we also can use the find function to find the space and to tell how many the letters the left function should return for us. Okay, let's do that. Okay, first name. Okay, first name of directors. Then we use the left function. The first parameter is the text. Very simple, director. The next part is the number of characters. Number of characters, we can use the find function to find the position of the space, then tell the left function how many data should be returned. Okay, find function. Find function, there is several parameters. The first one is the find text. Which text we should find? Here is the space. We need to find the space. Okay, then within the text is the director. Okay, then go to the start position, because we start from the first letter, so we don't need to put anything here. We just put a bracket. Here we also find the error, what happened. Okay, let's go to the direct data to find. We have irregular data, MCG. Okay, then we have a look. Okay, we found that for the MCG, the direct MCG just have the family name. There is no given name, no given name. That means there's no space here. So the find function could not find the space and cause the error. Okay, how can we fix that? If that happen, we still can use IfError. Okay, if that happen, then we say that there is no space, that put 0. Okay, then return. That means before the MCG, that is 0. Okay, find function cannot find the space, find 0. Okay, then we can clear all the filters. For other data, for example, here, Tom is returned as Tom, Robert returned as Robert. Okay, here still another issue. Because we use the find function to find space and return the data, including the space here. So actually here is the Tom plus the space. Okay, so we need another function called trim to remove the space. Okay, probably you will say that here is Tom and space, we can't find difference. Okay, that's true. Okay, we will show how the trim function can do different job for us. Let's go to the edge query. Here, let's create a double duplicate. Okay, then we change a little bit for the director data. Okay, here is the director data. Then we change the MCG data. You buy the transform the data. Okay. With the mic mcg. Okay, we have changed that. Then let's go back to here. We need to remove the filter rows because we need all of the data. Okay, let's go back to the table. Okay, let's go to the movie 2. Okay, here we create another column called directors with country. Directors from country. Okay, then we can use the directors emslate with from emslate country. Emslate country. Okay, here is the director name from United States or anything else. Then let's put more space here. Then we find that there's a lot of the space here. In this kind of scenario, how can we remove the lot of the space here? And because sometimes we need to just the real data, okay? Here, then we create another column called correct data. Okay, if the correct data is from, we can use the trim function to use the director from the country. Okay, then we can find the difference. Here, the trim function removed all of the unnecessary the space for us. Then the data is prepared and can be shown in for further analysis. That's the result we really want. Okay, that's all from today's learning. We learned the functions like the if IsError, divide, IfError, value, trim, but for most important part, that is the IfError. IfError can be applied in many kinds of complex scenario for the data preparation and the calculation or anything else. Okay, thank you very much for your time. See you in the next episode. Bye-bye.